Hey everybody, this is Diane. Hello and welcome to Biters.
And I'm Marnell, and I'm still standing after all this time, which is the most I can say because we didn't get the rights to the Elton John song.
You are not the only person who was thinking of the Elton John song. I was, and I listened to another podcast today, and sure enough, one of the co-hosts brought it up.
Yeah,
So,
thanks for that earworm fear.
right?
Like, that's been going through my head all day, but I only know the one lyric, so it's just I'm still standing all day.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you that Dwight and John running out of gas is a metaphor for Fear the Walking Dead.
I have another really good metaphor.
Oh, tell me because it might be the same as our other real Alaskan housewife.
It's actually my ugly, so I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. So we'll
Yeah,
hold
yeah.
off, but we'll come back to it.
It's actually, it might be more of a moral than a metaphor, but it's still kind of a metaphor.
Well, so let's get into it. What was your rating?
My rating I think was slightly higher than yours just because that's the
Probably.
way things skew, but mine was a 3.0 living nightmares.
Okay, it's not always the way things skew. Remember, I usually score higher than you do.
Not on fear.
Not on fear lately. I
Yeah.
have been more forgiving in the past, but definitely not lately on fear. So mine was 2.7 unbelievable balloon barricades out of 5.
So
And I'm not the only one who hated the balloon barricade.
I hated it, but I also thought it was kind of clever, and I'm pretty sure that material is pretty sturdy.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And I do want to say just a nod to Diana and Steve. I'm partway through Aim for the Head. They brought it up too. I thought of it before they brought it up, but we were definitely on. I mean, I thought of it before I listened to them. We were definitely on the same page.
I thought about it on the first watch, but
Mm-hmm.
I completely there was so much else that I completely glossed over it in my notes.
Oh, this is going to be a long episode.
Oh, it is. I know, like we really strongly disliked this episode, so we're going to talk about it for like 2 hours.
Right.
Strap
Probably
in.
pretty much. Nick is going to be knocking at the door in like an hour and a half going, I thought you were done.
You'll be like, nope, I'm still standing.
All right. So I have some numbers for last week and for this week.
Dun dun dun.
So last week, Fear the Walking Dead was 18th overall in the 18 to 49 group. It did not make the top 25 in just the overall ratings for the week. It had 1.488 million views, and about 400,000 of those were in the 18 to 49 group. It beat out Bohemian Rhapsody on HBO,
What?
which I think is crazy because I loved Bohemian Rhapsody, but I also love Queen. So,
Exactly. Like I loved that movie. Everyone I know loved that movie. Yeah.
it was beat by Soccer, of course, and by Teen Mom.
Well, to be fair, I'm actually I watched like a couple of episodes of the very first season. I think I've
Of
discussed
course
this
you
because
did.
I always talk about like the first season of a reality show is the good one because like nobody's actually acting. It's really a reality show. Like the following seasons, people kind of know the shtick. And so I did watch a couple of episodes of the very first Teen Mom, and there's some drama going on with some of the first Teen Moms, and I still have it on Google Alert.
Oh my god.
I know it's so shameful.
All right. This week, I didn't look at who they beat and who beat them out, but it fell to a series low in the 18 to 49 group. About 300,000 views in that group, and it was 1.393 overall. So it did take a hit this week, probably because last week wasn't that good.
Yeah, and it's the episode before the mid-season finale, so I expect the numbers to be a little bit higher next episode, but not by much. I think people are really getting fed up.
I think a lot of people are going to drop off. It'll be interesting to see what the mid-season finale looks like in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
All right, title. I don't have anything other than the lame Elton John song.
Me either.
I mean, obviously it was Morgan's speech to Alicia.
Okay, I was wondering if I had like blocked out something. I was like, they had to have said it somewhere in the episode.
He says to her toward the end of the episode, "We're still standing."
Okay, I have probably just started tuning out Morgan's speech. Sorry.
Oh, God. Okay, Thomas O'Mara has a theory about Morgan. Don't let me forget.
Okay.
So our writer was Richard Naing. I think we've talked about him before. I think I've probably slaughtered the pronunciation of his name before. He has 3 episodes as writer on Fear the Walking Dead, and he wrote 2 episodes last season that we really liked, Just in Case and Blackjack. So I think it's just the overall arc of the season. I don't think it's his writing in particular.
Yeah, I
think there's not a lot to work with.
No, I think the direction of the season is just forced at this point. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody who is like writing or directing or even acting on the series is to blame. I think it's just the direction that the series has taken.
I've got to tell you, I am so deeply disappointed in the showrunners because they had this show last season and they did a good job. I'm not sure what they're thinking this season.
Yeah, what happened?
Off the rails.
This time last year, we were raving about the show. We were like, can you believe we're here talking in a good tone about the show that we really wanted to stop watching in season 2? Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually looking back at the first three seasons and thinking they were pretty darn good. Even the Frankenstein's monster zombie. All right. Our director, who I also do not blame because she had limited resources to work with, was a woman named Marta Cunningham. She has 17 director credits, but this is her first for Fear. She has directed for Star Trek Discovery, Transparent, which I loved, Pretty Little Liars, and How to Get Away with Murder. Those were some that I recognized.
So she directed an episode of The Good Fight, which I really like, and an episode of You. If you have not watched You, Y-O-U, it's on Netflix. You can watch the entire first season. I think it originally aired on Lifetime. It is so creepy.
Okay, so you almost had me and then you said Lifetime.
Well, but Netflix picked it up. Lifetime canceled it and Netflix picked it up. So the story behind You is this guy kind of becomes obsessed with this girl. And it's sort of, he's very creepy, but like in a kind of hot Dexter kind of way. And you hear his inner monologue all the time. And so you constantly hear what he's thinking about this girl that he's obsessed with. And so it just makes it way creepier. It's the most fascinating show. I think I binged the entire thing in like 2 days. I was hooked. Yeah.
Huh.
But I also like, serial killers and stuff like that. So the whole, Dexter being obsessed with the girl was right up my alley. And what's funny is I guess there's they're like, now if you go and you watch it like without his inner monologue, like if it's just some guy lurking outside just staring for like 20 minutes, they're like, it's even creepier without his inner monologue.
Oh God, that's really funny. I'm not sure that it's going to make the list. I'm still working through Game of Thrones, so I'm not sure that it's going to make the list.
That's true.
I do have to say about Marta Cunningham, because I just want to go back to Transparent for a minute. Did you watch Transparent?
I didn't. It was something that I was kind of interested in, but it just never got to the top of the list.
It was phenomenally good, and then Jeffrey Tambor got taken out by the Me Too movement.
Ooh, that's right. I think I did.
And Amazon, everybody who was involved with it ended up saying peace out.
Yeah.
which is such a bummer because it was a really good story. I was really disappointed to see one actor take down a really great series.
Yeah, especially when that doesn't really have to totally happen because what was that one House of
House of
something?
Cards,
House of
Kevin
Cards.
Spacey.
Yeah, yeah, they continued it without him. They just killed his character.
Although I don't know that it's going to continue beyond that season. I'm not a House of
No,
Cards
no.
watcher, so
But they were able to wrap it up. They
yeah.
just killed his character and continued it with the other people.
Well, the thing that was so hard about Transparent, although I guess you could argue the same thing about Kevin Spacey, is that Jeffrey Tambor was the main character. He was the focus of the show.
Yeah, so was Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, when I saw her name associated with Transparent, she did 2 episodes, and I was just like, oh, that bums me out because it was such a good show. So she obviously did a phenomenal job directing the episodes that she had a hand in there because every episode of that was great.
So she also directed 2 episodes of a show called Claws.
I've heard of that. I've seen ads for it, but I haven't watched it.
I am so fascinated by the ads. I really want to watch the show. It's never going to make it to the top of the list, but it looks so funny. It's centered around, and I think it's Miami Beach. It's a manicure salon, and the ladies are like basically mafiestos. It looks so funny. Yeah. Every time I see an ad for it, I'm like, I really want to watch that show.
Yeah, the ads are flashy and great.
Yeah, they are.
Speaking of ads, before we move on to our featured cast, I just have to say that one of the ads that played for Preacher during this episode of Fear was so good.
That warms my heart.
Yeah, it looks really good. So I hope that AMC is going to give Preacher a proper send off.
Yeah, yeah. It would be nice to have a lot of good things to say about an AMC show right now.
All right. So let's go into our featured cast, which you proposed a little bit of a different take on it since we don't have any new cast members to really talk about. And I thought it was a good take.
Right. So we are doing a sort of Where Are They Now? Mostly Clark family. All of our past stars of the show who have been killed off and moved on to other things, what are they doing now? So I took on 3 characters and you took on 2. The first one I am doing is Frank Delane. I keep wanting to say Delant. Delane. Frank Delane.
Probably because you're trying to say Dillahunt.
Yes. I think that's probably why. I didn't even think of that until you just said it. So since he has been off the show, he has completed one movie called Astral, and you can watch it on Prime Video for $2.99, but I don't think I'm going to actually recommend it because it gets like 2.5 stars, and it gets like a 4 point something on IMDb. So it didn't do very well.
Ouch.
But he's got one movie in completion and a couple of other things in post-production that all look pretty good. So I think probably one of the ones that I am kind of interested in is Vienna and the Phantoms. So a roadie travels across North America with a punk band during the 1980s.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Punk in the 80s.
Right.
Right? So I kind of want to see that one. That's the one that's actually in that's completed right now. It's set to release this year sometime. But he's also got another movie called Maestro and another movie, Dollyland. So in 1973, a young gallery assistant goes on a wild adventure behind the scenes as he helps the aging genius Salvador Dali prepare for a big show in New York.
Oh, that sounds really quirky and interesting too.
I love Salvador Dali. I actually have an original Salvador Dali lithograph in my living room.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. I don't know why. It's Salvador Dali's just always struck me. So that one kind of looks interesting. I would love to see a biography on Salvador Dali. And
that's super cool.
Frank Delane will be in it. There is no release date for it yet, however, so I will have to put like a Google alert on. So you elected to do a couple of characters.
I did. So I'm going to start with Cliff Curtis, who of course played Travis. Because I loved Cliff Curtis, I loved the character of Travis, and that was probably my least favorite death in this entire series.
Yep, ditto.
Yeah, it was very hard to lose him when we did, and I thought he was a really great character, so...
Could you imagine if he were still on the show? It would be a completely different show if he were still on the show.
Yeah. I don't even want to think about it. Especially not in light of how the season is turning out.
Right? So what's he been up to?
So Cliff Curtis is listed for all 4 of the Avatar movies that are slated to come out between 2021 and 2027.
God, can you believe 4 movies
right.
and all the way out to 2027?
Right. So he is a character named Tanawari, and he's in all 4. I did look to see if he had been in the first Avatar movie, and it did not show up in his IMDb credits. And it's been long enough since I've watched it that I don't remember a character by that name.
No, I don't either.
He also is in Dr. Sleep, which is currently in post-production. It is a sequel to The Shining.
Ooh.
And he actually has 5th billing, which is pretty good. He's just below Ewan McGregor on the IMDb list.
Interesting.
Yeah. I have to confess to a little bit of heresy. I have never watched The Shining, and I've tried to read it, and I just couldn't get into it.
How have you never watched The
I
Shining?
know, I'm a heretic. It's Stephen King and Jack Nicholson. I'm a heretic.
Like, I don't think you can have cable and have not seen The Shining.
Right?
Yeah.
I've managed.
You don't watch nearly enough TV.
I definitely don't watch as much as you do.
No, nobody watches as much as I do.
All right, so Cliff Curtis has 2 other things that he's done since Fear. He is in a movie that is listed as completed, but I don't think it's out yet. It's called Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. And
does that have anything to do with the regular Fast and Furious?
It's got to, because
movies?
The Rock is in it.
Okay.
And Jason Statham, Idris Elba, and Helen Mirren. So he's in pretty good company.
Okay, I think I have seen ads for this in front of the last Marvel movie that I saw.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, this actually looks pretty good, and I have only seen the first and second Fast and Furious movies.
I haven't watched the franchise, but my husband has, so I imagine he'll have it playing at some point. And then the last thing that's on Cliff Curtis's list from 2018 is a movie called The Meg. And it's a horror movie. Scientists exploring the Marianas Trench encountered the largest marine predator that ever existed, the megalodon. You're going to tell me you watched it.
No, I have not, but I have a friend who absolutely loves this movie. This is like the second best movie he's seen all year. And like he's like,
hilarious.
He's like, I was not expecting to like it. He's like, it was going to be Sharknado on the big screen. Like he's like this. I'm just seeing it because I'm taking a date to the movies, and it's a movie. Yeah. And apparently it's exactly what you think it is. It's, you probably have never watched Deep Blue Sea.
No.
Okay, so
not my genre.
Like Deep Blue Sea was trying to be serious, but it was sort of like Snakes on a Plane, only underwater with fish, or with sharks. Yeah, and so it's exactly what you think it is. It's a hokey shark movie, and it knows it is, and so it plays with it. So, yeah, I have heard very, very good things about the Meg in spite of itself.
Well, so he also had a really good cast to work with in this. Jason Statham was in it again, so he's worked with him twice now. Ruby
Hmm.
Rose was in it,
Yes.
and Rainn Wilson.
Yes.
So a surprising number of names that you would recognize for what sounds like Sharknado.
Right? Right? I mean, and kind of Jason Statham knows that he does a lot of kind of serious roles, but he also does roles that he knows are going to be Sharknado on the big screen.
I'm still amazed at the Meg, but yeah, the little bit that I read about it when I was looking at Cliff Curtis's stuff, people were speaking pretty highly of it.
Right. And so I had completely forgotten about it until I saw that Cliff Curtis was in it, and I was like, now I have to go watch it.
Oh God, that's really funny.
Right?
It's not going to make the list for me. I'm going to be totally upfront with you about that.
Oh, and the other half wants to see it too because our friend talked it up so much. So I'm going to have no problem watching it very soon. So I will try and watch it and report back.
Very good. We have to talk about what we're going to do in the 3 weeks that we have off anyway.
Well, it's not going to be reviewing the Meg. I
Probably
can tell you
not.
That. No, I won't make you sit through it.
All right. So you took 2 other cast members. So who else did you look at?
So the one that I was really super interested in doing is Mercedes Mason, and she played Ophelia. And the reason why I wanted to talk about her character is because she was on a show that I absolutely love called The Rookie. Nathan Fillion, midlife crisis, decides to become.
Oh, I wanted to see that. Is it still going?
It is. So it just ended its 2nd season, and it will be back for a 3rd. And I'm spoiler alert, I gotta do it. Captain Zoe Anderson, who is Mercedes Mason, doesn't make it past season 2, and it was very, very shocking and very, very sad for a show that is so funny and kind of lighthearted.
I can't believe you just spoiled something. Oh my God.
Oh, come on. It's like not knowing the end of Game of Thrones at this point.
There may be people who are planning on binging The Rookie for whom you have now spoiled things entirely.
Oh, well, it's in the headlines. So, and it's been like 6 months. So
Get over it already.
Right? It's like trying to avoid Walking Dead headlines after like 2 days. So she was in The Rookie, and she did such an amazing job, and she embodied the character so well that after having watched her on Fear the Walking Dead in Ophelia, I was watching The Rookie, and I was like, where do I know her from?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she's such a good actress that I didn't even think of putting the two together. So she also plays a DE agent, or has played a DE agent on NCIS Los Angeles. And she has a movie in post-production right now called Love by Drowning. It's a book-to-movie adaptation of a novel written by C.E. Poverman. I don't know, but a story about 2 brothers, Val and Davis, and their connection to a woman, Leanne. The story spans over 17 years of obsession and shocking events. So that sounds super interesting to me.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
But she doesn't play Leanne. She's kind of further down in the cast. So I don't know how big of a role she will have in that. She was rumored to be on a pilot that's coming out called Mixology, but she has since dropped out of the making of the pilot because they made some changes to the character, and what they say is they felt she no longer fit the character after the changes, so she's dropped out of Mixology. But she's done it in time to be on another pilot, which hasn't been announced. So we may see her in another series in the near future.
Cool.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, she's such a great actress that I didn't even recognize her in a show that I've loved for 2 years. So You elected to do Kim Dickens for me.
Because I wanted to spare you. All right, so Kim Dickens has done 2 things since she finished Fear, and she's also got 2 upcoming things. So the first was a movie called The Highwaymen, and I was actually surprised that I hadn't heard about this movie because it's got a pretty big cast. Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson, Kathy Bates, John Carroll Lynch, who actually played Eastman.
Wow.
So Kim Dickens plays the wife of Kevin Costner's character, and Kevin Costner plays one of the main characters who was one of the Texas Rangers who came out of retirement to catch Bonnie and Clyde.
Huh.
So I'm really surprised I haven't heard about it. I kind of skulked around on IMDb a little bit to try to figure out if it had been released and just didn't do big box office, or if we're still waiting for it, and I didn't really get a good sense of that, and I didn't take enough time tonight to really dig deeper into that.
Well, it looks like it's a Netflix movie, so...
Oh, okay. So it's available
Yeah.
for view if people want to watch it.
Absolutely. That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Yeah, it actually sounds pretty good.
That's on the radar now.
So she also, obviously, everybody knows about this, was in Deadwood the movie, which just released on HBO at the end of May. Shout out to Diana from Aim for the Head. I know she's a big Deadwood fan, and it sounds like this was just a phenomenal movie.
I've heard that. You know, I love the series. I'm still stuck in season 2 because, like I said, we've started watching Raising Hope with Garrett Dillahunt, and it's very, very weird to see him as the dad in that show and then switch over to Fear the Walking Dead and see him as John Dory. But I think it would be
the character that he is in Deadwood.
I think it'd be a little easier to switch from Deadwood to Fear because he plays such a wacky guy on Raising Hope that, yeah. But I absolutely enjoy Deadwood. I look forward to watching the movie too.
So I'll be honest and say I'm still stuck in season 1, and I just got distracted by other things.
Exactly. But you know, we're facetious about disliking Kim Dickens. We don't dislike Kim Dickens. We disliked Madison.
And you know, in light of the way the season is turning out, I'm not even sure that I was that much in hate with Madison. I actually think I liked her better than you and Tom did. And Brian, yeah.
Probably.
So Kim has 2 other things on her IMDb list. She has an episode of a TV series that's in post-production right now called Queen Fur. And then she has an episode for a TV series that has just started filming, and that's called Briar Patch.
Yeah, the synopsis don't sound that too interesting, although one does have a killer in it, so that's promising.
Of course.
Right?
So you took the last of our featured cast. Who did you look up?
So he was one of our first big shocking deaths, Lorenzo James Henry, and of course he played Chris, the son. And since being on Fear the Walking Dead, he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so he was he played a character called Gabe Reyes, who is the brother of Ghost Rider, the character Ghost Rider. He was in a movie called Riding 79, and I have to tell you, it kind of sounds a little bit interesting, and it got better reviews than Frank Delane's Astral. So it got a 7.8 on IMDb, but it's only got 28 reviews. But 28 people really, really liked this movie. It kind of seems like maybe it was a little bit of a low budget movie, but yeah, it takes place in 1979, which is the year I was born. So he was in an episode of Kevin Can Wait, which I I didn't ever watch Kevin Can Wait. I've heard very good things, and I liked the other show that the star Kevin James was in, but it's just really, really not on my radar. So I doubt I will watch the one episode that he was in. Then he was in a movie called Only Mine, which kind of looks like maybe a straight to DVD release of kind of a stalker movie, but like not cool stalker like the show You. Yeah, it looks kind of hokey, but it gets a 4.6 on IMDb and it's got 800 ratings. So I'll probably skip that one.
I was going to say that's not a very good rating for 400 people reviewing it.
Right? So he has one movie in post-production. It's called This Is the Year, and it has no synopsis yet, so we don't know what that is about. But so all of our stars have moved on and forward after Fear the Walking Dead, and they've done a lot of really interesting work. And yeah, I think some of these I will definitely have to catch up with our stars on.
I think probably the most likely in terms of what I'm going to watch are the Avatar movies, but I'm not even sure that I'm dying for those. So
You'll eventually watch the Deadwood movie.
I'll eventually watch it, but I
Yeah,
really want to get
yeah.
through the series before I break down and watch the movie.
I think the most surprising one is I kind of thought Frank Delane was going to be done with acting for a very long stretch of time after Fear the Walking Dead, because he was the one who asked to leave the show.
Yeah, but I think it was more that he was done with Fear.
Yeah. But I kind of got the feeling that he was maybe going to do some theater or something completely different. Just with the interviews that I saw with him, I kind of thought that he just really didn't catch the acting bug that badly. So I'm very, very surprised to see that he has 4 things in post-production.
He's not like the kid who played Joffrey, who just said peace out.
Right? Jackie Gleason's like grandson, I think.
Yeah. I can't remember what his name was.
Jack Gleason.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of interesting things by our former cast members. Obviously, Fear the Walking Dead is a great tool to jumpstart an acting career, as in any AMC property is.
I'm sorry, I won't say anything about this season. Instead, I will take us directly to the news in Whisperer's Corner.
Excellent.
So we have quite a bit of news this week. Probably the top 2 things. First is that there was a casting for the 3rd Walking Dead series.
Yes.
So they announced 3 casting choices: Alexa Mansour, Nicholas Cantu, and Hal Campston. I hope I'm saying all of their names right. It looks like they are all kids. And Alexa Mansour is just, her character is described as a good-natured rule breaker. Nicholas Cantu's character is described as an old soul with a black belt in karate. And Hal Campston's character is described as a shy loner. So it doesn't give us a whole lot. I'm assuming that Alexa Mansour is one of the main leads because they talk about it being 2 female leads. Matt Negrete is the showrunner, and it starts filming this summer in Virginia. That's about all we know at this point.
So, of course, I think that we heard the synopsis. Part of the synopsis was that it's going to center around basically, I don't want to call them children, young adults.
Kids
maybe?
who came of age in the zombie apocalypse. So they're
Yes.
kind of late teens, young adultish now.
Yeah,
That's the gist that I got.
Definitely going for that 18 to 49-year-old demographic. But that sounds super interesting. I think they maybe kind of are trying to do that with our Lost Boy children, because if you think about it, these kids were all very, very young when the zombie apocalypse happened. So it'll be interesting to see where they take the show with the new characters for the third show.
Yeah, I'm assuming the new show is going to be quite a bit forward in the future if they're looking at kids who came of age during the ZA.
Yeah.
Probably our other biggest piece of news was that Angela Kang did an interview with EW.com and said she is working on bringing Lauren Cohan back now that Whiskey Cavalier has been canceled.
Yay!
She said, quote, "I'm not sure if I can say much about it right now, actually. I'll just say that we're working on it." End quote. The EW article did point out that one of the big issues that caused Lauren to leave is still standing, which was they couldn't come to terms about money and about her salary. So they're still going to have to work on that issue with her.
Yeah.
You know, maybe now that Rick is gone and Denai Guerrera, Michonne is leaving, there might be a little more money left in it for Lauren.
Yeah, I kind of want to think that both sides kind of have an equal argument. They have the argument of, well, you couldn't carry a series on your own, so come back at your normal salary. And she's like, well, I was willing to leave the first time, so deal without Maggie.
Well, you know, and my whole thing is she was a huge part of that cast, and she should have had parity with the other cast members.
Absolutely. I agree. I think I've said that all along.
Yeah. I think we were both pretty much behind Maggie. Pay the woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Let's see there. So there was quite a bit of news on EW.com this week. So there was news about season 10 of the main show. It says it will focus on paranoia and PTSD. And Angela Kang says it's going to have a Cold War feel, and she promises more Whisperer's backstory.
Yeah, I can definitely see the PTSD thing from the standpoint of Alpha's daughter.
Well, and with the people who discovered the heads on pikes.
Very true. Yeah.
So another piece, and I think this was from EW, but I can't remember. They have cast someone, and I'm sorry I didn't write his name down, to play Dante, who is actually Maggie's love interest in the comic book.
That's right. I did see that.
I think I actually shared it on Biter's page. Yeah, I did. So it was actually comicbook.com. And the actor, but they were summarizing an interview that Angela Kang gave to EW. So EW was the original source. And let's see if they say who they cast. They did not reveal the actor who will play Dante or if the character will appear in the front or back half of the coming season.
Okay.
So we have that Dante was cast, but that's all we have.
Yeah. I forget how they said they were changing the character too. I think that he from Hilltop?
I want to say he was Hilltop. He might have been Kingdom and then brought into Hilltop. I can't remember.
But of course, we've seen, I think, just about everybody. So I think they're bringing him in a different way.
Well, and the big thing, too, is that Maggie's not there for him to be Maggie's love interest. So
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did not find Eric Kane's Forbes review, but I found Paul Tassie's Forbes review, and his title of his review was, "So what on earth did Fear the Walking Dead just do to Alicia?" And he said that she is the one character who should be totally off limits.
I know, like, if Daryl dies, we riot. If Alicia dies, we riot.
If Alicia dies, Paul Tassie riots, that's for sure. And so he also agreed that everything he knows about radiation came from HBO's Chernobyl.
Yep. We are all nuclear physicists at this point.
So one of the things that he speculated on in his article, which I have seen other people and heard other podcasts speculate about, is that maybe Alicia Dedman Carey said, "I'm done. Write me off. Get me out of here."
Yeah, so that's the other thing about our past characters is did Alicia Debnah Carey pull a Frank Delane?
Right.
Did she say peace out?
Yeah.
You know, um, I I kind of want to think that she wouldn't do that to her character because she is such a fan favorite right now. But on the other hand, I wouldn't want to go down with a sinking ship. You know?
Well, and I kind of wonder if that's not what's going on.
Yeah. Yep. I had that exact thought.
I did want to really quickly, while I was thinking about it, bring up Thomas O'Mara's feedback about the radiation storyline
Hmm.
because he actually is a radiology tech, so he has education in working around radiation. And he actually buys the radiation storyline a lot more than I did.
Okay.
So let me get to his feedback.
I'm just saying, I gotta wear the lead vest at the dentist. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near those walkers if they're that radioactive.
Okay, so he said, as a chief radiology technologist, I can argue against your point. Grace can run around, but the parents that were exposed to walkers got sick. So the difference being that she has had exposure to the environment, but not direct exposure to the walkers. He says two factors in radiation exposure, time and distance. I'm assuming the parents were probably exposed to the walkers much earlier in time, closer to the meltdown, which means that those walkers were much more radioactive. Now that time has passed, it's not as bad. It's still bad, but because time has passed, much less radiation exposure. I'm going to interject here. The only thing I argue about is that Grace made it sound like she was in on the whole meltdown from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So my argument is that she's got the same level of exposure as those walkers that have turned and are now so dangerous. And then he says, and my prediction, Morgan pulls a Spock from Wrath of Khan and dies, stopping the meltdown, saving everyone else.
You really think they're gonna kill Morgan?
Well, I've kind of heard some speculation that maybe Lenny James is done too.
I just always imagined him catching back up with Walking Dead Prime.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that now.
Yeah.
With the time jump in Prime, I don't know how they're going to do that.
But again, Lenny James has been with us since episode 1. He has invested a decade in this series. So I can totally see him being like, I'm ready for something different or I'm ready for a break. Yeah.
Another theory that Tom O'Mara advanced was, I also think the van of kids will show up to save Strand and Charlie. Obviously, that didn't come to pass, but he sent this message to me last week before we watched this episode. And then he said, I was a little shocked you didn't mention my gold bra and wings. So if anybody doesn't follow Tom O'Mara, they should, because he did the funniest photo op with Jenna Elfman at a recent Walker Stalker. And it's from, what's the movie that she was in?
Can't Hardly Wait.
And she played like a stripper angel, right?
Yes. Yeah, she was kind of a prophetic character in the series when the main protagonist kind of had a dilemma. She kind of appeared out of nowhere and forced him out of his phone booth, if that tells you the time of the movie, when people still talked on phones and phone booths. But yeah, she played a stripper angel. Yep.
Well, so check out his cosplay because it was a really funny.
Yes, very, very funny, very unexpected. And you gotta love a man who is comfortable enough to wear a gold bra.
And get it signed by multiple cast members.
Ugh. The memorabilia that man has.
No kidding.
Man, he's gonna have to be entombed with it someday.
I'm imagining a huge pyramid constructed somewhere.
Right?
All right, before I launch into the last few things I have for Whisperer's Corner, you found Eric Kane's
Eric
review.
Kane.
The
Yes.
man who does not know what it is to be a nurse. Yes, eventually I will let that go.
It's sort of his identifier now. And now this Forbes review thing is a thing with us.
Absolutely. So you're just
I
stuck. You're going to get stuck listening to it.
I go straight to it after I watch the show.
Oh my God, that's really funny. I tried to find Eric Kane's review and I couldn't find it.
So it's entitled Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 7 Review. Could this really be the end? And of course, he's talking about Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
He goes through a lot of things. And, you know, that review that he did where he talked about nurses, we were vehemently against just about everything that was in that review. But since then, I find myself agreeing with him more and more. So one of the things that I absolutely loved that he pointed out, because I had the exact same thought like 2 episodes ago, is Al's hair. How on earth does she maintain the style in the apocalypse?
She must have some clippers squirreled away with the camera and some gel.
She's gotta, because her hair is on point. He goes through some erratic pacing of the episodes, which I definitely agree with, and the contrived tension with the reactor storyline. And then, where was it? I can't find it now. It's a really long article. I encourage people to go read it because I think he's gotten a lot funnier with his reviews. And so he says he finds himself mostly bored and distracted during the show now. And I absolutely felt that way this episode. Normally, you and I talk about how the rewatch will either make us like the episode more or less. And I gotta say, when I rewatched this episode, I felt nothing different from my original watch. It was just very blah.
I'm gonna say that's this case for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't strongly dislike it or hate it or anything. I'm just very like, I would rather play on my phone.
I don't know. I told you before we got on that this episode I was really like, oh, I'm done. And I'm not done, obviously, because I'm still standing. But
that's exactly what the title means.
Yeah.
We're all still standing here, waiting for something to happen.
I will talk about the interview that Ian Goldberg and Andrew Chambliss gave to EW about Alicia because of what the Forbes article said about Alicia. So they said, quote, all that contaminated blood on Alicia definitely puts her in a lot of risk and danger. They went on to say it was a cause for concern. So they're heavily teasing that something bad is going to go down with Alicia.
So I commented, I haven't listened yet to Aim for the Head for this episode because I don't like to listen before we do a review because I don't want any of my stuff tainted. I mean, I will read stuff, but I feel like I don't want to like kind of take anybody's reactions or anything like that. So I haven't listened to this episode, but I did comment on their Facebook page. And I don't know if they read it on the episode, but I still maintain that I thought it was a thing, you know, with all my nuclear physicist knowledge, that you could take potassium iodide and kind of be okay after radiation exposure.
All it does is it protects your thyroid.
Okay, that's right. So
that's based on my knowledge from Chernobyl and from the reading that I did after Chernobyl.
I was going to say, yeah, I did a little bit of reading on it, and it did talk about how it keeps the radiation from affecting your thyroid. But I don't know. Watching the show Chernobyl and one of the wives or girlfriends or something who was pregnant who elected to stay in the town. And
She was the wife of one of the firefighters.
right, she actually wound up surviving, and her baby died after she gave birth, but she wound up moving on and living to a ripe old age. In fact, I think she might even still be alive.
She's still alive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've read about her.
Children and grandchildren. They
She's
told her
got
she'd
one
never.
child.
Okay, they told her she'd never bear children again,
I
and
don't know that she's got grandchildren.
maybe I'm just
She's got one child. I know that for sure.
I'm trying to reason my way out of Alicia's death in that.
Well, so I mean, it is true that she was exposed to someone who was heavily and horribly irradiated.
Mm-hmm.
She spent a lot of time in close contact with him and did have complications as a result of her exposure, but is still living.
Yeah. So we don't know how irradiated the walker was that Alicia killed. She's washed it off. But again, I kind of have to think that the water that she was washing the blood off, that can't be that safe either. So I don't know.
That's a fair point.
I feel like nothing in this area is safe. I know they have this inclusion zone, but it's not like the inclusion zone like has a bubble around it. So I don't know. I think if everybody's exposed a little bit, but I don't want Alicia to die, so I'm trying to make her not die.
She is in a lot of risk and danger.
Right.
All right, 2 more things in the news, and then we're on to our goods, bads, and uglies. So, multiple Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead actors are up for Saturn Awards.
Mm-hmm. They were snubbed by the Emmys.
Of course. Big surprise that. So, Andy Lincoln, Denai Guerrera, Melissa McBride, Lenny James, Kari Payton, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Sydney Lemon for her guest role.
Mm-hmm.
Tanya Pinkins for her guest role as a filthy woman.
Yeah.
And then both series are up for Best Horror TV Series.
Ah.
And then the last thing that I have is Greg Nicotero is working on the Creep Show TV series, the reboot. And he says, he is.
Oh my God, I loved that show.
And he says it's the hardest thing that he's ever done.
Does it say why?
No, I mean, it kind of went into it. It sounds like one of the things that he opted to do, there are 6 episodes, and he opted to tell 12 stories, so 2 stories per episode. So it sounds like he kind of felt like he was biting off more than he could chew, but it's going really, really well.
Well, and I also kind of think that, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm such a fan of the horror genre that I think that Creepshow has a larger cult following than The Walking Dead did when it started out. And so there's more pressure to do it well and pay homage to the original.
That's probably fair.
So I think it would be really, really hard because a lot of people are going to put a lot of pressure on you to not screw it up.
Well, and the other thing is, and this article did not use the term showrunner, but they said he was, quote, overseeing the series. So I'm wondering if he's actually the showrunner for the series.
That would make sense.
So he's got a lot on his plate if he's doing stuff for Fear, stuff for the main series, and then showrunning Creepshow. Not that he can't do it. I mean, he more than has the ability to do it, but I thought that was really cool.
That is very cool. I had not heard that it was going to be rebooted.
In fact, I'm going to look and see if I can find out if he is the showrunner.
I was actually just talking about Creepshow the other day. There's a episode where a guy touches a meteorite and like kind of basically becomes kind of a Swamp Thing kind of thing. And I don't know what brought it up, but I was just talking about Creepshow the other day. So it's kind of funny it came up.
So it is back in the form of a new series on horror streaming service Shudder from The Walking Dead executive producer Greg Nicotero.
I really wanted BritBox, but now I might have to get Shudder.
Oh, interesting. Shudder is owned by AMC.
So can you watch AMC properties on Shudder?
Probably not.
Hmm.
Oh, and he directs the pilot. Okay, definitely gonna have to get Creepshow.
Yeah.
Maybe if I don't buy Shudder, I can buy it on iTunes. All right, because I don't want to buy another streaming service.
Right? We are so close to a la carte.
So
Our
close.
our children's children will be like, you had to buy 800 channels to watch 4 shows?
All right, sister, we are nearly an hour in, and we have a
Told,
lot left to cover.
told ya.
So, let's go into our goods, bads, and uglies.
Alrighty.
All right. You
So,
liked it better than I did, so tell me you're good.
well, and as you know, before the episode, I had a really hard time coming up with any one good thing. Because there was
Ouch.
just, well, it was a lot of meh, and a lot of stuff that I tuned out, like the Morgan speech. But I did happen to like, again, June and Al's interaction, and Al talking about Isabel. It seemed to very much affect her. And again, we see the connection between June and Al, where they both feel like they can confide in each other off the record. And I imagine it's got to be nice for both of them to finally have that, because they were both kind of so alone in this world. I mean, Al had a lot of interactions with people, but it was always her getting their story, and she was living for the story or their story. She wasn't making a story of her own, and now she kind of is.
You know,
And
it's
then
funny that you say that because that was one of the things that I wrote down is that Al is finally living for something other than the story.
yes, and that's been part of the thing that I've disliked is she's, putting herself and others in danger to get the story, and now it's more about, helping the group and, meeting someone new and all this other stuff that I feel is much bigger and better than the story. And then you had June, who didn't want to be around anyone for a very, very long time. She met John, and then she left John and didn't see him for more than a year. And, now she has that. And I feel like the group can go in such a better direction than they are now, that there's a potential for greater storylines, and this is one of them. So that was my good that's been my good in the past, I know, but I don't know. I really like them as BFFs.
Well, my good is sort of related to yours. So, Jenna Elfman was. I actually had two goods. Jenna Elfman was one, and I specifically said the scene where Al tells June about Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being, I thought Jenna played it really sincerely, and I thought that her acting was really great. And I actually said, good acting in an otherwise steaming pile of dew.
So before this interaction happened, Al had brought June to the rappelling site where Al's like, oh yeah, I totally saw this helicopter land there, and there has to be fuel up there, because that's the only reason why they would land there. I had to I had to really watch June and be like, is she buying this? Like, she knows that something happened while Al was out there. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I totally know where some avgas is, because
Right.
a helicopter landed on this cliffside.
And that's the only reason they would be there.
Right? So yeah, I when I saw that, I was just like, really, June, are you buying this? And then I think it was kind of I think she was not buying into it, but she was letting it go because Al wasn't ready to talk yet.
And she eventually got at least a little bit of the story out of Al.
Yes. And I really think it's going to be expanded upon. Of course, I don't think we've seen the last of Isabel.
I'm not sure if we've seen the last of her in this series. Again, I think maybe we might see her in the Rick movies, but I'm not sure. I think she was really well received, though, so I think there's a good chance that in some capacity the Walking Dead universe will bring the character back.
I think so, too. I think I kind of want to think that she's going to be in the Rick movies, but I'm just thinking, I don't know if they could tease the whole CRM and Isabel's plotline without somehow wrapping it up in the series, wrapping it up at least for this series, but being able to continue it with the Rick movies.
Honey, it's Scott Gimple. He can do anything he wants.
Except kill Alicia or Daryl. Or Daryl's dog now.
Right, or dog.
Or dog.
Or Skidmark. Although we haven't seen Skidmark.
I think Skidmark, he's going to survive on his own. Like a cat in the apocalypse. Like what better survivalist?
So kind of speaking of Skidmark, because Charlie was charged with taking care of him, Alexa Neeson was my other good.
Oh!
And specifically the scene where she and Victor are together just before Morgan saves them. And the reason that I picked her as my good was, again, I felt like her acting was really sincere. It was nicely done. It was not overdone.
Right.
And I thought that she did a good job carrying a scene in, again, an otherwise really challenged episode.
Yeah, when she kind of took charge and, kind of just trying to get the herd to go towards her instead of Strand, I was like, how far our little Charlie has come. So, yeah, I was pretty proud of her. And like I said, I really am not into children on the television show, but I also see Annie that way. I mean, for as many flaws as she has about her one-trick pony of I have to protect my brothers and we aren't leaving this place where a nuclear reactor is going to blow up at any time. As much as I hate that plot line, I really like Annie. And I kind of see her as another Charlie, and Charlie was kind of another Alicia.
Well, they did a little better job softening Annie up this episode when they had her go, like, no, Alicia, I'll come and be with you. And then, then had her say, whatever you did, you've more than made up for it.
Yes.
So I think they kind of did soften that one-trick pony appearance a little bit.
Yeah, and so this actually gives me great hope for the third series because it's kind of right up my alley of female protagonist and young people in the zombie apocalypse.
Here's hoping they pull it off.
Right.
All right, what was your bad?
So after having talked all of that up with Alicia and Annie, my bad was all of them standing around in the treehouse arguing about the walkers at the gate instead of all just going out this magic back door that their little camp had. They said there wasn't another way out, but apparently they found one, and the walkers weren't through the gate yet. They all could have escaped, like including Alicia. And even if Alicia didn't escape, there was a rope bridge. Cut the rope.
I was going to say I really agreed with what Paul Tassi said in his essay, which was, why didn't they just disable the bridge?
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Or the bridge is a great choke point because...
I wrote that down in my notes.
Exactly. We are all thinking this. There is one walkway for the walkers to get to you, and you can either stab them and throw them over, or you can just push them over.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was a little perturbed at that sort of overlooked plot point. Because I feel like we do that. We stand around and we argue about something instead of doing the thing that we're gonna argue about and then do anyway. So yeah, that was my bad. I'm a woman of action. I don't like to stand around and talk about doing the thing. I just like doing the thing. one thing comes to mind. I help out with an animal charity, and one of the events they were trying to figure out how to arrange the tables, and all of the tables were folded up, in their storage. And I'm like, why don't we just get the tables out and start moving them around the room? Like, let's quit talking, like start doing. And I just feel like we talk too much and not do enough. So what was your bad?
All right. This time the balloon is my bad. So, again, I'm going to say Steve and Diana made these points. I came up with these ideas before I listened to them, but I'm right on the same page with them, which is, first off, how did they rig up the balloon barricade in such a short period of time?
Yeah, that was pretty cool of just being able to pull that lever and, that got itself around a 2-story tree. Well, pull the rope.
Not sure how that happened.
Yeah.
And I think it was supposed to be scary. I think seeing the walkers kind of pawing at them through the silk trying to get in was supposed to be scary. And it just wasn't. It really fell flat.
Okay, it honestly made me think of all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies where...
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Right?
Yeah.
And because Freddy Krueger is still the only character that terrifies me to this day.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm nearly 40 years old, and I will watch a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, have a nightmare, and I can't sleep for I have to, turn the lights on. I almost jump out of bed because I'm afraid he's going to be under my bed. I'm nearly 40 years old, and this dude still gives me nightmares, but I can't not watch him. But yeah, that's what it made me think of is Freddy's hands through the walls and stuff. Yeah. So it kind of creeped me out for that, but not for what it was.
Well, and so finally my last thing about the balloon is it's okay for Morgan to spray radioactive blood everywhere, but it's not okay for Charlie and Victor to kill off the radiated zombies.
I heard gunfire. You didn't shoot any of them. Well, if I did it not at that close of a distance, right?
Right.
Shooting at them is way better than poking my new stick through them, because he's gonna need a new stick now, right?
Well, so he shot them and he poked his stick through them.
Yeah, so...
Good point. I didn't even think about how his stick is now...
He was wearing the little, painter's radiation suit, whatever. We won't get into that again. But he's gonna need a new stick now. Yeah, I actually wrote that. Gonna need a new stick now.
Yeah. So, yeah, the balloon was not good this week. And I rewatched the end of last week, and it was as bad as everybody said it was.
So what I have to say about the balloon material is it is pretty sturdy material. However, you would have had to have not only the top cinched up very well with that rope, but you would have also had to have the bottom cinched up. And I don't buy that there was the amount of time to be able to encircle ourselves in this field that happened to have trees just big enough to encircle the balloon around us. Yeah, it was super implausible. But whatever. It's the zombie apocalypse. Like I said, if Madison shows up on a unicorn, it would not shock me.
Well, Kim Dickens has indicated she'd be willing to come back. All right, what's your ugly?
So my ugly is, and I said that my ugly is a metaphor for the entire series. Alicia was chopping through the zombie barricade, the bowlicade or whatever we're calling it.
The bowel barricade.
Bowel barricade, yeah. So she's chopping through this, and
the bowel blockade.
Bowel blockade. She's getting nowhere fast. Little kid, creepy as pops out and is like, "You're going the wrong way." Which I mean, that's gonna give me more nightmares than the zombies through the balloon. But so here she is chopping through their barricade which to try and help them, which then in turn makes them go out and try and reform their barricade. And of course, they break loose, the zombies break loose, and that just creates havoc, and we ruin our campsite and everything because the zombies got loose. So again, when we are trying to help people, we wind up making it worse.
Oh, good point.
And that is a metaphor for this show. Is every time they try and help something, they make it worse. And that's a metaphor and a moral of a story all wrapped up into one. So that was my ugly. And obviously it was a bad ugly because I am sick of them trying to help people whether they want it or not. Like, just stop. So that was my ugly.
Well, so the metaphor that was posed by our other Real Housewife was the nuclear reactor meltdown as a metaphor for this season.
Agreed. It's a slow, painful way to die. Well, so what was your ugly?
My ugly was a good ugly and a bad ugly. I'm taking a page from your book. It was Alicia. So I felt like it was good because there was a certain symmetry with Madison, especially in the way that it was filmed, with Alicia taking on this big horde of walkers all by herself. And Alicia potentially sacrificing herself for the younger members of the group.
You know, I had not put that together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But my bad is, this is it? This is how they're going to write Alicia out?
I really hope not. I mean, unless she's the one who pulls a Spock, you know? I'm already irradiated. I'm already on borrowed time. Everyone run for your lives. I will hold the switch as long as I can. You know, like a dead man switch. The minute she dies, boom. Right?
Right.
Ugh. That's bleak.
I'm really hoping that's not how they're going to write her out.
Me either.
But it's not looking good.
No, it's definitely not.
All right. Are we in the realm of rotting potpourri?
I think we are.
Okay.
Is there a lot of it?
There's a fair amount. Do you have a fair amount?
I think I do too.
Oh,
We've talked about a lot of it though.
I'm going to apologize in advance to anyone who might still be listening.
Spooky chef.
Right. Okay, so the first thing I wrote down was Alicia at the gut fence. I would say that's a pretty big keep out sign.
That was pretty darn elaborate. And I do have to say, so did you notice the walkers wearing the little radiation thing in our gut fence?
Well, you know, so I didn't when I first watched it, but then I was like, dang, they really telegraphed that walker who eventually ended up spraying Alicia in the face.
Yeah, so that was the one with the giant melty face, right?
Yeah, with the eye that was poking out.
She avoided stabbing him the first time. She turned around to stab, and she looked at him and was like, nope, and walked away from that one, just let him tied up in his guts. And I got to thinking, a whole bunch of kids pulled out that walker's guts and tied them together. So aren't they irradiated?
Thank you. That was one of my points in my rotting potpourri.
Alrighty. Okay, so we're on that same page.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, not only have the kids been living really near the inclusion zone, drinking the water near there, probably eating the foods from inside the houses, but now we've had them playing with walker bowels, irradiated walker bowels.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe that's how we kill the kids.
Well, I do still think they have to die. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I made this point to you. I'm going to say it out loud. I thought the CGI of the blown out reactor roof was terrible.
I did not have that feeling, so I missed it on the first watch. I even rewatched last night after you said something on Fast Forward, and I missed it again. So I really, really paid attention tonight and saw it, and I was like, that was a lot of buildup, Diane.
So your point that we have had worse,
Worse CGI effects.
worse CGI in the main episode was a good point.
Yeah, yeah.
CGI
The one
deer, CGI trash heap.
Yeah, CGI. I've had totally forgotten about CGI trash heap. But the one that really sticks out for me always, and I don't know why, because it's such a minor thing and a minor scene, is we're at Hilltop and are looking at somebody, and behind them is the front door to the main building mansion thingy at Hilltop, and the door is open, and it's supposed to be, like you can see trees and like a field and stuff outside. But it's either really, really bad green screen or it is the backdrop from a Sears family photo shoot. So I just, for some reason, that effect sticks out as me as one of the top three.
And
terrible.
I don't remember that, so I'm going to actually have to look at that.
See if I can find it, because I'm pretty sure it was pointed out a whole bunch of times in probably Forbes. Let's be honest.
Right.
Forbes likes to rag on Walking Dead.
Fear the Walking Dead specifically, but yeah, Walking Dead too.
Yeah. Oh, so how many times have you lost a set of keys?
Oh,
And
so many times.
could you ever go into a stranger's house and find a random set of keys just within about 20 minutes of looking?
Okay, so I want to say something else about that. I totally didn't get that Morgan was in Grace's house until he was like, I was in this lady's house and I saw who she was when she thought she still had something to save.
Oh, when he picked up the Garfield birthday card, there was a picture of Grace and
But
what
it was
appeared to...
not a very good picture.
I guess it's just because I assumed that she had said it was the houses of the families of people who worked at the reactor, and she specifically directed. And then you see a picture with a woman with dark hair, and I was like, that's totally Grace.
You were paying much better attention than I was.
Yeah, I think I just assumed that he randomly found Grace's house, but my suspension of disbelief ended at finding her keys on top of the refrigerator. Who keeps keys on top of a refrigerator?
Really? That's the thing you no longer believe? Because that's what I keep asking myself. Really? That's the thing you no longer believe?
So, okay, in the zombie apocalypse, if you're looking for keys in my house, they're at the coats that are hanging at the door. They're either in one of the pockets. They're either in my purse, or they are in a bowl near the doorway, the key bowl, on top of the refrigerator, and he finds them. Yeah.
Dude, if you're in the zombie apocalypse and you're looking for keys in my house, you're in big trouble because I don't know where half my keys are.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I'm terrible.
Are you one of those weirdos that keeps your work keys and your home keys separate?
I am one of those weirdos. In fact, I have a little brain keychain so I know which keys go with work.
So
it's like a little pewter brain.
I have never kept my keys separate because they just have to grab one set of keys and I can be at home or work or in my car or, there's one set of keys. I had a coworker who she was terrible with losing keys. She like me, had one set of keys twice and lost them twice. So she went camping and took her house keys. Of course, she drove out there with her car that's on her key ring and locked her house with the car that's on her key ring. But she also had the entire building's front door key and the keys to an entire floor of offices. And she's lost those twice. camping.
Oh, that sucks.
She needs to keep separate keys and maybe put those on top of a refrigerator. But yeah, I just on top of the refrigerator. Mm-mm.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no.
And speaking of needing keys for a vehicle, I don't think you can hotwire a big rig.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, and people may be more knowledgeable about this. I'm going to say it with confidence, so maybe you'll believe me, and I think it's true. Aren't there, like, glow rods that have to heat up in a big rig before you can even, like, turn the key to get the engine to turn over?
Okay, someone who knows way more about big rigs than I do is going to have to answer that question.
There's like all kinds of buttons and stuff you have to push before you turn the key. I can't imagine that you could just rip some wires out from under the steering wheel and like zap them together and the big rig starts. I just don't think that's how it happens. So I'm really, really glad that they weren't able to start it, because then I would be Googling my butt off and being like, you totally can't hotwire a big rig.
So this is totally not related to that, but I have to say, I wrote down, these kids are a-holes.
The guns were empty the entire time.
Oh my god, and when they were all lined out looking at Alicia being like, how can you not get the point? We don't want you to help us. I was like, ungrateful little buggers.
You know, I'm just like, they have to know that the area is dangerous and not going to get any better. And Annie's like, well, we survived the first time. I'm like, obviously you don't watch enough TV, because if that thing goes, that thing's going to go, and you'll be lucky if you survive the blast.
Well, Chernobyl had not yet been released, so we'll cut her some slack.
Well, yeah, she was far too young to remember anything like Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island or anything like that. So, and I think Fukushima happened after their apocalypse.
Right.
So,
I was going to say, I don't think she
yeah.
lived through Fukushima, so there you go.
Yeah.
Oh my god. See, we do have a lot of rotting potpourri.
We do.
I did like the way she called Alicia on her crap when she said, oh, this is about you.
Yes. See, this is why I love Annie, is like, she's smart. I like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I talked over you. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was totally going to change the subject, because I know that we talked about this last episode. The generator.
The Jenny.
Of course it failed. Of course it burned out, because a small gas-powered generator is totally going to keep a nuclear reactor running.
Totally.
Right?
My husband did say, well, it's just the cooling system in the reactor.
Okay. Repeat what you said, only slowly.
Right.
It's just the cooling system in the nuclear reactor.
It did crack me up when he said that.
Oh. So, Dwight didn't seem as mad as I thought he was going to be at John.
No, he kind of seemed depressed, and then, but I'm going to make it all okay by getting you back to June.
Right? Like, I really expected him to be very, very upset at John. And he was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, not a thanks, not a you're a jerk, not just, oh, okay, I got the letter. Yeah, and I read the letter, and yeah, she says to live for something else, find something to live for, and so I'll get you back to June, and maybe she went over these mountains, and there are no mountains in Texas. At least not in the area of Texas that they're in.
I don't know, I gotta be honest and say I'm not any good at Texas geography.
Well, okay, there's no mountains in Texas like we have mountains in Alaska.
Well, you can't hold them to that standard.
He called them mountains. They're foothills.
Although I did talk with a couple from Texas today, and I was like, right now, Alaska is like, Texas, hold my beer.
Right?
Yeah.
Although I actually, when I went down and grabbed my lunch today, I have been so used to not taking or wearing a coat anywhere that I wore a t-shirt today, and it rained and it was pretty cold today. And so when I went and grabbed my lunch, I went and bought in one of the tourist shops, I went and bought a hoodie so that I could walk back to work and not be miserable.
Oh, God, that's really funny.
I had to buy a hoodie on my lunch hour because I haven't been bringing my coat anywhere. It's been like 9,000 degrees for like 3 weeks stretch at a time. But
Texas, hold our beer.
Right? I was like, well, and my friend in Maui, she said that she's like, I can't even remember the time that it rained. And she actually, there was a wildfire, a forest fire there. And she was 9 months pregnant and got cut off from her home. And so she was looking for a place to stay. And of course, I can't help her because I'm in Alaska. But I'm just like, oh my God, Alaska and Hawaii are like on fire. And Louisiana's got all the water.
I'm not surprised with Louisiana having all the water. I mean, they are on the coast and they did have Katrina, so, you know.
Yeah, and they have levees to keep the water back, which I totally disagree with. Just become the Vienna of America. Just sacrifice all your first floor buildings.
That's kind of a rude thing to say to all of the people who live in New Orleans.
Nature's gonna have to take it back at some point. Like, there's only so much that humans can do, you know?
Oh, nature's gonna take everything back at some point.
Yeah. That dome over Chernobyl's gonna fail in less than 100 years. Then we're gonna have two-headed deer. No, if we didn't get two-headed deer the first time, it'll be fine.
Two-headed CGI deer. All right, so I just have one comment. Ethanol, anyone? Do you remember when they lost all of the ethanol because they blew out their ethanol tanks?
No.
Yeah, remember when they were all supposed to be, like, being saved by drinking ethanol because they were antifreeze poisoned?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So when they lost their avgas this time, I was like, ethanol, anyone? It's pretty bad that they lost their avgas.
Okay, and so I have another thing to say about that. You've made me think of it. So when June and Al were having their little heart-to-heart after they got the avgas down the cliffside, June was just like, all of this was meant to be. I mean, you knowing exactly where we could get avgas and everything's just coming together. And I'm like, yeah, but look at all the crap that's gone wrong. Like, way to gloss over the crappy stuff and be like, no, everything's good. No, it's not. Like, bad crap had to happen for you to have this good stuff happen. So you need it balances out, but don't get me wrong. But she totally glossed over the fact that, like, oh, the propellers didn't work, and so we had to get propellers here, and then we punched a hole in the tank, and so now we have to find gas, and it's just an endless cycle of something gets screwed up, so we have to find something. But every time you find something, it's a miracle. But every time something goes wrong, it's just another project. I don't know.
I'm sorry, that's just really funny.
Everything was just so, like, it's all coming together. No, because it all fell apart. You have to put it back together.
All right, so kind of on the topic of the avgas, how did Al get all that avgas down by herself?
The only thing I can think of is that they developed a rope and pulley system where she lowered it down the cliffside to June.
And because she's an expert mountain climber, that was no problem.
Well, she got up there the first time and rescued a woman at the same time, so that makes her an expert in my book. She could take me rock climbing.
All right, if you say so.
we're also now experts in exactly how much gas it will take just to get back, as long as we strip the plane down to bare bones. And have this unnumbered amount of child weight.
That's what I was just going to say. So since we're on the topic of the plane, how the heck are they going to fit all those people in that plane? It didn't seem that big when they crashed it.
See, now I just have this vision of, we're not getting any lift. Throw another one out.
That is so bad.
Like sandbags on a balloon. Just drop another one.
So that is a nod to Steve. And yes, it's just a reminder that the Cold and Dead Inside Club meets Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Alaska time.
Oh. And I didn't even have anything to drink tonight. No, I can still stuff all those feelings down where they belong.
That's because we're high on trashing fear.
I have to say, it is super fun. These are some of our more lively podcasts.
Oh, God. All right.
But we are in good company.
Yes, we are. And Thomas O., I am so sorry, but it's been really hard.
That's right. I am so surprised that he is completely on board with this season.
He is completely on board with this season.
I think he's completely on board with Jenna Elfman.
You
BFF.
said it. I didn't. I told him I wasn't going to say that.
I think it's because they're BFFs now. And I'm not knocking him for it. I think if Jenna Elfman were my BFF, I'd be like, yeah, this season's amazing. She is, though. She is amazing. Like, I love Jenna Elfman, and I've loved everything that I have seen her in. And I mean, I watched Dharma and Greg religiously before DVRs. So, yeah.
Well, and I've got to be honest. I don't know if I would be as critical if I had BFFs in the cast either.
Yeah.
So, that's fair.
Yep. I will totally say that I am absolutely a hypocrite. Oh.
All right, so onward. Alicia rooting through the kids' stuff and then finding Dylan's little serial killer drawings. And then psychoanalyzing him. You're scared, aren't you? Really,
Duh.
Freud? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Are you telling me you're not scared? We're all scared. I'm terrified of the zombies. I'm terrified of the humans. I'm terrified. I don't know where my next meal is coming from. Like, it is a living nightmare. Yeah. I thought that was funny too. Are you scared? No. Yeah.
Oh, what else you got? I think I've got a little more.
Go right ahead.
Oh, I have to turn the page and scan. Oh, I know one of the things that stuck out at me. June said she and John were separated for an entire year.
Yeah, she said more than a year.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to John for more than a year.
And I didn't feel like that really fit the timeline that I had in my brain. So I thought that was not capping on it, but just that was a really interesting piece of trivia.
I didn't think it had been that long, like more than a year. I think it had been, in my mind, it was a little less than a year. But we have to figure that we did see a distant backstory of John Dory. That rhymed. So, it's not like we were introduced to him. Well, we were introduced to him, and then we got like a backstory of an untold amount of time in the past. So I see it. I can see it. We started off our introduction to John Dory in the middle of his search for June.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. You remember he was parked by the fire, and Morgan kind of snuck up on him, and he's like,
"Oh yeah,
I haven't talked to anybody in a really long time." Yeah. He started off in the middle. So, like I said, I didn't think I thought it had been like maybe 9 months, like just under a year, but Yeah, she said over a year.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were looking for each other that long. I really didn't.
Yeah, so how long's Dwight been looking for Sherry?
I'm gonna say 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
he's been looking for her for quite a while. I mean, that was the time jump in Walking Dead from the end of All Out War to kind of where they were at trying to rebuild before Rick disappeared. So from the end of season 8 to the beginning of season 9, it was about an 18-month time jump.
so see, this is why I think that he's got a good ally with John Dory, is because he has been following this chick around for 18 months, and she's been leaving him breadcrumbs, and he seems to just miss her all the time. John found June with nothing. So put Dory on the case.
Well, he could do far worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Although John still has to enunciate better. He still talks like he's got a mouthful of hot potatoes.
I don't think I picked up on it this time because their interaction was so little in this episode. It seems like they did touch on everybody except for Mo Collins, Sarah, and Wendell.
Oh, yeah, we didn't get them at all.
Nope, not at all. But did you see the ads for next episode?
Yes, it looks like we're going to have Logan again.
Yep. Max Headroom is back.
I have such mixed feelings about that.
I'm excited. I'm excited because I love the actor. He's such a character actor. He can do anything. Yeah. So I'm excited to see where this goes because I don't think he was a bad guy. I think he's kind of a jerk, but he's no Negan, you know? He just wanted his stuff back. So, we'll see.
I think they're going to milk that plot line for all it's worth in the second half of the series, or second half of the season.
It can't be any worse than what we've got now.
Please, God, no. All right, so I did write down that I thought Morgan ended up with a way better suit than Grace. So explain to me why he had such a good hazmat suit and she's running around in a Tyvek suit.
Yeah, hers seriously looks like a painter suit. It looks like cloth, and his actually looks like it might not absorb bodily fluid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So weird. And hers even has a gap at the bottom where it doesn't quite come up to her respirator. So
really?
Yeah, it was really distracting when she was fixing the generator. Like, you kept seeing a gap between the bottom of her respirator and the cinching around the face of the suit. I'm telling you, that thing is not radiation proof. I get more radiation proofing at the dentist.
All right. What else have you got? I think I'm getting to the end of my writing potpourri, and there are people out there sighing in relief right now.
Right? We did have some viewer feedback, listener feedback.
Oh, no. I'm not done yet.
Okay.
So, what is it with Alicia Debnah Carey and her mom jeans?
What?
Totally. If you look at her jeans over the last few episodes, they are mom jeans. Our sister thinks she's pregnant.
Well, that goes back to the whole having a baby will take all the radiation out of you. I know that's harsh.
No, she doesn't think Alicia the character is pregnant. She thinks Alicia the actress is pregnant, and that's why she wants to bail.
Okay.
And that's why she's wearing mom jeans.
Dude,
she's seriously wearing mom jeans.
Looking.
You really see it after she's standing there and she's been sprayed in the face and she's kind of breathing hard and holding onto her weapon. You really see it then.
Yeah, some of the IMDb photos have her. Oh, no. She's definitely got a waist in that one. Oh, that's an old one. Hmm. I don't know.
Steve, help me out here. You're a big ADC fan. Steven it out for us.
Steven it out for us.
I did like Grace's observation that Morgan undervalues his life.
And I did like how he's like, I knew you valued everyone else's life over your own, so I made it about me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, sneaky.
And I also liked the shout out to Eastman because I loved that character and I loved that episode.
Yep.
Although now I wonder, is it like pregnancy? Did I really love it? Or am I just thinking that now because things are so much worse?
And I was thinking the exact same thing about Madison coming back. I'm like, did I really dislike her that much? I think it'd be okay if she came back. I need to go listen to our old podcast.
Right. Oh, I thought the reactor with the siren was lame.
Really?
I did.
Why?
I don't know. It just seemed like...
I used to live in a town that had tsunami sirens, and they sound like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. They didn't have it in Chernobyl. What can I say?
They didn't have a lot of things that they should have at Chernobyl.
Good point.
I mean, there is a reason why that thing was on HBO is because at some point there was a whole bunch of dudes working completely naked.
There's some discussion about whether or not that was actually real.
Well, what was it? There was like 125 degrees where they were working, and it was just like, we can't work inside these suits, you know? They didn't have cooled suits.
All right. The last thing I want to say, and I promise I won't cap on this episode anymore, is this really how we're going to lose Dwight? Are they going to bring him in only to send him off to chase after Sherry? I mean, they've done that now with Salazar. It looks like they're doing it with Dwight. They did it with Isabel.
Yeah, they do have a tendency to split off a character. Like Ophelia went off on her own. Luciano, didn't she go off on her own? No, Ophelia went off and joined Taka.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, people just have a tendency to kind of go their own way. And that's not always a good thing.
All right.
I really hope we get resolution with Dwight, one way or another.
Well, I just don't want to see him disappear, and I think it's because I really like the character. I was really excited about him coming over, and I just don't want to see them... I don't want to see them get us all excited about bringing him over and then...
Waste him.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've kind of wasted Lenny James. They kind of wasted Ruben Blades, you know?
They haven't even just wasted Lenny James. They're actually turning people against him. I mean, both of the Forbes writers are like, he was one of my favorite characters, and now I can't stand to see him. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, on a totally different subject... I'm working on my deep dive into Hillbilly Elegy because of our featured cast member last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. It's very good. I actually downloaded another one called something like Things You Don't Get Right About Appalachia. Something like that provides a little different look at the whole crisis of Appalachia. So I'm going to read that next because I get kind of obsessed about things.
Dog with a bone.
Totally.
Oh.
All right, so I do have a little bit of feedback from Steve because we lost his feedback last time.
Steve, I literally found it less than 10 seconds after we stopped podcasting.
Right? So this time Steve says, "Dilly dilly, ladies. Just listen to the end of everything in The Little Prince. Amazeballs as usual." Thank you, that's very kind. "Although I was dismayed to discover you misplaced my comments. Too bad, as they were full of insight and helped make sense of this completely senseless season. Not. As far as this week, I too was a bit dismayed to learn that the Look at the Flowers gang are fully trained airplane mechanics. But then again, the idea of repairing a crashed airplane so it can fly again is already so utterly ridiculous. I guess that a repair crew consisting of 8-year-olds is just par for the course. Keep up the good work. Take it one dead day at a time and always aim for the head."
I like how our caps go together.
They do.
They do.
It was meant to be. We totally need to do a crossover, you guys.
Yeah. And Steve, you got me rethinking it. Child labor is some of the best work in the world.
And it's cheap.
Look at our iPhones. 8-year-olds make those.
Oh my God, now you're making me feel guilty for getting a new iPhone.
Okay, it probably wasn't iPhones. It was probably your Birkenstocks that you just ordered off of Amazon who are striking on Prime Day.
I actually have not ordered them yet. I'm actually waiting until the strike is done.
Yeah, as a union member, I did not participate in Prime Day.
Yeah.
I left everything sitting in my cart.
I didn't buy anything on Prime Day either. The two Prime Days, actually. It was the 15th and the 16th.
But of course, they are going to get my money because I live in a very, very small town that has very inconsistent products.
Oh, Amazon gets my money because I'll admit it's way easier to click on my basket on Amazon than to drive the 30-odd miles to town and hope it's there.
And, deal with the public.
We're terrible.
We are.
I do want to... Oh, go ahead.
I even have my dog food delivered. And
I'm not quite that bad, but I buy a lot more dog food than you do. So
well, that's a better reason to have your dog food delivered.
Right.
I have my dog food delivered when there are actively bears patrolling our neighborhoods for food right now. So one of these days, I'm going to come home to a bear sitting on my porch, scarfing down my dog food in my Petco box. That'll be exciting.
Oh my God. Speaking of which, I posted a picture of us fighting as kids on Biters.
Right? Except you and I actually didn't fight like that because I think it was because of our age difference. You were just, there was, even if we wanted to fight like that, you were so much bigger and older than me for the time. Like, I swear we've gotten closer in age. Like I said about our other sister, where I'm like, I know she's not lying about her age because she died. She was born the year Elvis died. So but I always thought she was like 4 or 5 years older than me. Turns out she's only 2 years older than me. And I don't know. That just blows my mind. And I feel like, yeah.
Cece and I fought like that. She used to chase me with butcher knives.
Oh, yeah. Me and the other two sisters fought like that. We were brawlers, but yeah. My dad wanted 3 boys. He got 3 girls, and we acted like boys. We fought like boys. We had boy bikes. We learned to shoot guns early. He was bound and determined to make us boys.
So we are totally not talking about Walking Dead anymore, and I just want to say one more thing unrelated to The Walking Dead.
Okay.
If you're thinking about buying an iPhone 10, wait until Apple fixes their iOS problem.
And what's funny is I think when you were talking about that, I just heard something about one of the Samsung Galaxy, I think it was Galaxy 10, was also having issues.
Well, if you are trying to upgrade specifically from an iPhone 8, the iOS update that was just pushed out for iPhone 8 is incompatible with the iOS update that is current for the iPhone 10.
Ugh.
So you cannot back up from iTunes.
That's bananas.
It was bananas.
Diane had to physically re-download all of her apps the other night.
Fortunately, my pictures and my notes and my music were in the cloud, so I wasn't totally lost.
Right?
But I put my husband's old iPhone 6 next to the iPhone 8, which he inherited, and they totally talk to each other without any problem at all. Like, totally transferred all of their data, because their upgrades for their iOS are compatible.
It's still creepy to me that our electronics talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even own an Alexa or anything like that. Like, that, it creeps me out.
We do, but we don't use her nearly as much as we used to.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, we've totally gone off the rails.
Yeah. Okay, Google, let's end this episode. I'm actually surprised my phone didn't fire up at that one, because I do have that on my phone.
I'm not going to say okay, Alexa, because it is on my phone, but just so people know, the latest collected volume of The Walking Dead, which has up to the episode right before, or up to the issue right before the very last issue, is coming out in August.
Good.
Yeah, so I have that on order. I went ahead and bought the last issue of the comic book, but I'm not going to read it until I read the issues leading up that I have not read yet.
So you pre-ordered it. Do you know when it'll be out?
I don't.
Probably for Christmas.
I want to say August 1st.
Okay.
It comes out in August, so I prepaid it, and it's just gonna automatically download to my Kindle.
They'll put a package together for Christmas, though.
Probably.
Right?
Are you hinting?
No, I'm just saying they have a tendency to do that. Like, they'll release, like the final Harry Potter movie in, like, early November, so that they can sell you, like, all 23 versions as a box set for Christmas.
Well, they're really great at exploiting our heedless consumerism.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I thought you were going to say hedonism.
That too.
Yeah, that too.
That too.
All right, everybody. I think it's time to end the episode. We have been here for the 2 hours that we promised.
The handful of people who are still paying attention are like, oh, thank God. I don't want to hear anything more about your dogs or your phone.
Well, see, so you can tune us out like I can tune out a Morgan speech. Which I'm sure that there will be one next week. So until then, there was. So until then, just remember, take it one dead day at a time. Have a good week, everybody.
All right, bye.
Bye.